There's more. So there, speaking of the armored cars expanding their role, we are adding in 2 more armored cars. So let me just switch back
Sorry,
here.
you did say field weapons can also go across the bridge, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So this one, Colonial has been asking for more early game anti-structure weapons. So this Julian, did you want to talk through this one a bit?
It's exactly what it looks like. It's a RPG mounted. I was about to say scout car, armored car. The Gemini loads and fires 2 shots and has some extra armor. So, like everything that implies, that's what you get.
Cool.
Do you like big plates of metal?
And the Wardens are getting their new armored car is an anti-tank, the Piat armored car. So you'll have a mobile Piat launcher now. And again, it has some extra armor. It has a Piat launcher. It can shoot indirectly. And it's a badass looking little duck of a car.
Great. So we can move on now to the rest of the changes here that we will go through. There's a bunch of other changes. We're not going to linger too long. You can read about these more in the release notes, so we'll fire them off really quickly. All vehicles can now open and close the gates. Which I don't know
People
why.
have been asking for that for a while.
Yeah, it's a small one, right? And storage and supply depot notification. So that notification when logistics drops off a bunch of supplies at a base. So that's now applied to the storage depots as well, with the increased usage of storage depots in these intermediate regions. And players have also asked for this a whole bunch. That system is in place now as well. Great March, Max. Do you want to?
Yeah, Great March was updated, but you guys should know that it won't feel any different. The main problem that we wanted to address was it was very slopey. The slopes are very gradual and very hard to see, and so we just fixed it so that the slopes are a little bit more defined, so that you guys will know more clearly where you can and cannot build. But other than that, the map should feel somewhat unchanged.
I think there was a couple road rerouting to avoid some issues as well. And some general touching up. Is that correct?
Yep, yeah. Correct. There's the main highway that used to go into the weird corner of the map, which was a weird partisan spot to hit. Now it goes directly to Blemish through Heartlands. So you'll see a small road change in Heartlands too.
Fire pits can now be built on bridges, so no longer have to have your be freezing in the middle of a bridge. So this is when we added in the large materials. A lot of people were asking, "Oh, do you need them for the barbed wire and the sandbag mods?" And this isn't really addressing a gameplay issue. It's just more like a consistency thing. We always want Foxhole to feel like a tactile game, and what you see is what you get. So if there's barbed wire, you should be using the barbed wire material. If there's sandbags, you should be using the sandbag material. So that's just a small change there. We try to unify things a bit more. Economy scaling. This is another more like under the hood thing, is that the factory production speed. So this is just factories, not mass production factories. Their production speeds now will scale for depending on how many players are playing in the war. So this is one of those things we've struggled with the past. In order to scale, we've had to add more factories, but now it just scales automatically. And there's more to it, to this economy scaling, than we're going to talk about here. But just as a whole in the game, because population can scale drastically depending on the shard, depending on the time of the year, and we're always struggling with the scaling problem. So we're we've added a lot of logic under the hood just to make sure that things are properly scaling. Everyone's having a smooth experience, regardless of whether the player population for that shard happens to be very large or small.
Yeah, the fill-in option no longer requires structures to be at full health. I know you guys have been asking that. So the foxholes and now the craters as well in the T1 trenches, they don't need to be repaired before you fill them in. This was a problem, a long-standing problem that people mentioned a long time ago. We finally, thanks to our brilliant QA people, they've figured out what was causing it. So mortar should be appropriately affected by wind now. So you can use your mortar half tracks and your mortar tanks and your mortar itself to hit targets accurately now. And I want to talk briefly about this. So I was talking to a lot of you guys over the last couple of weeks on Discord and on Reddit about the storm cannon being somewhat not an exciting meta, and we went back and forth about what ways we could address it. This isn't obviously going to be a fix-all, but it was the best change that we could think of. The storm cannons will now take 2 days to settle concrete. So once you start to build it, it will appear on the map, on the world map, just like the observation towers do. So our hope with this change is that you won't be able to attack with storm cannons anymore. It doesn't address the issue with the storm cannon race that a lot of you guys have complained about, but it will address hopefully that you can't just sneak storm cannons forward to blow up storm cannons. You will see the enemy storm cannons being built, and you'll have a full 2 days before they'll even be operable. So hopefully we'll see where that goes. We're certainly not closing the book on storm cannons yet. We're just gonna take one small step forward.
Great. Player activity log. So this is an experimental feature, and this is to give players more tools to surface. Players have asked for more information on what players are doing, sort of going along the lines of the stockpile logs, just in general, surfacing more information for everyone. So now every player will have an activity log. It doesn't track exactly your action, but what it does do is it does track things you've been doing. So you can look at a player and be like, wow, this player has harvested like 30,000 mats or something in this war, or this player has gotten like X number of kills. And it's more just for going along that same theme, just being able to surface more information. Players have asked for more information on what's going on. This is here to give more information. I do want to stress it is an experimental feature, so this can change at any time drastically. So just try to keep that in mind. New player report tools. So this is a work in progress, but we have started to build out more of an in-game player report system where it will track players that you've met, make it easier to send in a player report. And the goal here is also to start giving players some more feedback on the reports that they send in. So one of the things we've heard a lot is, hey, I send a report. I don't really get a whole bunch of feedback back. Now, I'm not saying this is going to change overnight, but we are taking steps towards that. So over time, you will start to see more and more feedback about what might happen when you send in the report, right? So again, it's a work in progress, but we're taking steps forward there. We spend a lot of time in this update cycle on server optimizations. So it's really hard to talk about this without getting into all the little details, but the output of it is, again, every so often we spend a bunch of time on this to continue to optimize the servers, to improve the latency and the performance. So just overall having a smoother experience, continuing to support the number of players that a game server can support, and hopefully trying to increase that count over time. And that's about it. We also tweaked a couple of character animations, but it's just a small thing. There's more changes that are going to be in the release notes, so this isn't the full picture, and we hope to be going into dev branch. But there is one last thing to talk about, right? Actually,
It's
keep
not.
saying that, but not to look at it. There's a few more things to talk about, right? So,
How long is